Okay, so you guys, when you are watching this live, are you looking at this from the replay? So I'm here with Stephanie. She, to me, is a feminine energy goddess.
Yeah.
That's how I met her at a ceremony, and then she introduced me to her doing Cacao ceremonies, and she left Prague, where I live, to travel the world with her love. And yeah, she's been developing the feminine energy there, right? Am I saying it right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I actually, after I left Prague, I would say that was the peak of when I was really exploring my feminine energy. And then I was in Albania and I met my boyfriend there. And yeah, the continuation of it all just kept rolling in.
Perfect. So what do you do these days as for helping women?
Yeah, so I have a few offerings. So I expanded my offerings not only to one-to-one coaching and healing, but I also do, of course, cacao ceremonies still, and I also do cacao ceremony facilitator training. So for those wanting to hold space and hold their own cacao ceremonies, I do that training now. And yeah, I think there's other things in the works, but those are the two main things right now.
Okay, beautiful. And we're going to do an event together in Prague on the 18th of August. So we'll mention this at the end of the live as well. But yeah, it'll be 6 p.m. And if you are ready to join us for some feminine abundance and prosperity energy, you can either comment or send me a message that says event, and I'll give you the details. All right. Yay. So today we are here with the topic of feminine abundance and how it gets to open up the floods to receiving both love and prosperity. So the first thing lots of people may not think about enough is what is this feminine energy? Why is it so important?
Yeah, so I've been diving into feminine energy now for a few years, and my understanding of it has deepened. But just to break it down, I would say feminine energy is this more yin energy that we have, right? Versus the masculine, this yang energy. So if you look at yin and yang, we have both within each other. We have them both in every being. And I want to make clear that it's not like all women are, in their feminine energy or have dominant feminine energy, right? There's all kinds of beings and people who have a spectrum of masculine and feminine. One tends to be more dominant than the other, usually. It's rare that you find someone that's like super balanced. You can work towards our balance, but most of the time it's like there's one that's just slightly more dominant, which is great. There's nothing wrong with being dominant in the masculine or feminine, but the feminine is also seen as more intuitive, creative, that energy of being flowing, sensual, compassionate, creative, emotional, right? So a lot of the times in our society, we're prided for our masculine traits, right? Like ambitious, logic, oriented, structures, systems, right? Like a lot of that is what we are operating in, right? Like we get good grades, like that's how we do well in school, right? So a lot of things are sort of structured in a more masculine way.
So kindliness, kind of doing things, right? Doing loads of things.
Yes, and so the masculine is more the doing, right? Versus the feminine is more the being and taking in and receiving. So it's an energy that not all of us are comfortable with because we have been raised most of the time to be very, ambitious, goal-driven, do the right thing, doing, maybe on the hamster wheel of overdoing and struggling and hustling, right? So it's like we tend to really we have hustle culture now. We have like this really intense, like we're going to hustle hard and grind. And that is obviously even an unhealthy expression of the masculine, you can say, right? So we can have unhealthy expressions of both masculine and feminine energy, right? Feminine unhealthy expression is like, oh, too needy, right? Like she's like seeking validation too much all the time, constantly, right? Versus when we're in the masculine, maybe something that's an unhealthy expression is that hustle culture, right? And like grinding so hard that you're like exhausted, right? So there's healthy and unhealthy expressions of each, right? Or integrated, wounded, however you want to phrase it, right? There's so many terms that you can throw around. But to finish it off, I would call the feminine really this, like, imagine a riverbed. The masculine is the riverbed and the feminine is the water. So
I like that. Okay, right. So would you think most women have too much of the masculine drive these days and they don't tap into the feminine? That's why your mission is to go and increase it, have them use it because it's so yummy and it's so easier to live in, even though we're not programmed that way?
yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of us have been raised to be good in some way, to do well, to always go to the next level, right? Which is all great, but sometimes we also have to come back into the being and to other parts of ourselves, right? There are a lot of parts of ourselves that are really focused on this masculine way of being because we operate in a masculine society. Even if we look at how our day is structured, it's structured to a man's hormones in a 24-hour cycle, right?
Yeah.
Versus a woman's cycle is 28 days.
Mm-hmm.
So we have even our hormones and how our cycle is much different than a man's. But a lot of our world is structured around a man and how they operate in the world. So for women, it's really easy actually to become disconnected from the feminine because this is the society we live in, right? Like everything is kind of centered around male, masculine men, right, in some way or another.
And it's, for me, I would say probably the biggest thing is lots of impatience, lots of unhappiness, lack of gratitude with the here and now, and lack of realizing that if you tap into the flowing energy, the receiving energy, that things can actually go way easier. But you still do need, I see that sometimes with spiritual people who tap into energy, you need a masculine container. You need to use the inspired action. You can't just go and tap into your feminine. I have a client who is a yoga teacher and she is this beautiful fairy-like being, but then she doesn't tap into the masculine. She doesn't sell her stuff. So that would be the other extreme. So you can be all feminine and like, oh, then things aren't happening really.
Yeah, absolutely. And because we need structures and systems and boundaries, right? We need things in order for the family to flourish. Like we need some strategies, goals, some structure, something to hold her, right? And then she can really flourish because then she's anchored in that. Like, okay, I am anchored in some masculine energy and I'm rooted in that. And then from there, then I can really like balance and receive and do amazing things because now you're anchoring both of them. And people do have a tendency to be like, you know, the airy fairies, you're flowing all the time, or everything is based off how they feel versus like strategy, right?
Yeah, I see more of the other way around, that women are too much in their masculine and they not even realize it. And it's really the complaining about their everyday life, the doing all the time, thinking they have to do everything and nothing is enough. So if we were to address that topic, what would be your two goes to start to tap into the feminine? If you could give the people some starters.
I think because when we talk about the feminine, we're also talking about receiving in this regard. And I think learning to receive all of you, all of your emotions, all of your feelings, and not from a place of like they're wrong or I need to change them immediately. It's more just like, can you receive all of yourself, right? The light and the dark. Because when we fully love and accept all of who we are, then we become really magnetic, right? So when we can fully receive all of ourselves, then other people can receive it. But if we're here shaming and repressing parts of ourselves, we're not going to be able to tap into, say, abundance, or we're not going to find love, or we're not going to find those things we're actually looking for because we're shaming parts of ourselves and we're saying you're not good enough, right? Or that part of you isn't worthy, right? So I think.
What would be sorry.
Go ahead.
What would be an example of that so that we can make it a little more tangible? So let's say I have a client who right now is in my course to increase her prosperity. And I know one of her reasons why she is not where she could be like 3 times, because she's been running a business for many years. She has a team. She is an energy work on the side, so she knows how to tap into her intuition, but she keeps working 10 hours a day, even though she gets super tired from that, which, like I think most people are not supposed to work much more than like 6-7 hours a day. Yeah. And she keeps running, well, the income she has on average is not bad at all, but for what she's shown in the years of her work, she could be making double, triple. So she keeps going into like working, actually managing the whole team all the time, almost micromanaging. So what is her not receiving her whole parts? Can you give us some kind of examples, dear?
Yeah. For someone like that, there is, I would say, a need to control everything, right? There's a need to micromanage, there's a need to control. I would say at the basis of it all, there are some feelings of unworthiness, the feelings of not feeling secure or stable, right? So you're constantly on that hamster wheel, like doing more to prove yourself. So for someone like that, it would really require some energy work as well, right? Like going through some of these blocks and understanding, like, okay, is there some root cause to this? Is there feelings of unworthiness, not enoughness, right? Because that's what keeps someone on the hamster wheel of like doing, overdoing, and micromanaging, right? So it's like getting to the root cause of like, when was that first time you felt not good enough? Or when was that first time you didn't feel worthy, right? Maybe digging into that more and feeling into what it actually means to be successful, right? I think the paradigm around success is like, oh, you have to work hard, right? So like some belief systems, like you have to work until your eyes fall out, right?
You have to be busy. You have to look very busy and important.
Yeah. Exactly. We operate in that in our businesses sometimes, right? Some people operate in that frame. So it's like, what are my beliefs around success, and am I worthy of that? And also, can I hold that success?
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. So there would be reviewing your self-value, reviewing how you're proving it on the outside rather than the inside in this case, and then calming it down. Could you give us one more? What would be when women have to integrate all their parts without judging them, that you see often?
Yeah. I think especially for integrating all your parts, it requires some shadow work and acknowledging, like, for example, as a kid, were you called too sensitive, or were you too loud, or were you too expressive, right? So like reclaiming that, right? So like there's a part of that's like, okay, what was that part of me as a child that was considered too much? And when we go with that, and we're like, okay, that part of me was too much. Is that even true? No, it's not, right? It's not true. And starting to unpack that and be like, oh, maybe that was actually the special thing about me, right? So acknowledging that somewhere along the line, someone told us this was not good and this was good. And then reintegrating that into, okay, how can this actually be good for me? How can my sensitivity actually be good? How can my expression be good? So now we're like reclaiming a part of ourselves, right? That somewhere along the way someone told us was not good, right? And so I think that's a lot of our integration is sort of reclaiming these parts, whether it's present life or past life or ancestral, right? We're claiming back these parts of us that make us who we are actually. Instead of repressing them and shaming them and hiding them and saying, oh, well, like, my feelings are too much, I'm too loud, I'm too expressive, like I stand out, I don't want to stand out, right? And then we kind of go into the opposite, or we close up, or we become hardened, right? Because now we're literally closing that part of us.
Or maybe you compartmentalize it in your life. Maybe you express it only in some part of your life, right? So basically, you would go after the negative narrative, negative realization of who we are and tap into that and reframe it and kind of transmute the energy of that.
Yes.
And that's beautiful. So how does this connect with receiving? What happens then with receiving both love and money?
Yeah. So I think because we start to feel less and less shame around parts of ourselves, that we feel worthy again, right? Because a lot of us feel shame around some part of ourselves, something we don't do well or something repressed, right? We feel shame around it. But instead of feeling as much shame, when we start to feel full love and compassion, then we can actually, other people can see us and they can receive us in that, right? So instead of having to prove ourselves and, hustle hard and show our worth or prove our worth, we're coming from a place of worthiness and self-love. And people pick up on that, right? Mm-hmm. When I did that journey and I was like, okay, I am going to be worthy of love no matter what. Like, I love myself and I acted from that place. Then I found love. It wasn't when I was in that other place of like shaming, denying, repressing parts of myself. And the same for money. So money and love, I think, are very interconnected. One of them is usually a little more tricky for someone, right? There's one that comes maybe a bit easily, and then the other one's a little more of a struggle. But especially with money as well, right? Like, can we hold and receive that money? Like, I'm worthy enough as I am right now. Like, oh, I have to keep doing more and more and more. It's never enough, because we have that narrative. If we have that narrative, it's never enough, then a person's never going to be enough. The money's never going to be enough, right? Because internally, we feel never enough.
Yeah, nothing is ever enough, actually. The present moment is enough. Our bodies are never enough. Our circle is never enough. And yeah, from the not enoughness focus, you are creating more not enoughness, because where your focus goes, there that grows. So, okay, yeah, so I see how you interconnect that, because for me, it starts with just opening to receiving. That's the feminine energy, and then everything starts settling down and growing and going towards you. And it takes a lot of calming down of the human mind, of the ego mind, going like, well, how about we just don't do something now? How about we don't push things? How about we just believe that through the action we have just created, it's going to come to us through us being whole. Just because we are, it can come to us, and then it starts flowing. Yeah. Beautiful. So all of this is a healing journey, right? All of this is healing, you would call.
Yeah. I think some of it too, like what you just said, is another thing that stands out to me, and this is something I practiced for a while, just receiving the moment, right? Receiving the sun, receiving that first cup of coffee, right? If you have a hard time receiving some way, you need to start practicing your daily life. Like, can I receive this, a cup of my cacao fully? Can I feel and receive the sun? Can I feel and receive a compliment without saying, oh no, like this whole thing, I hate it, it's not that good, I've had it forever, right? Like, there's a lot of us that's like, we're not fully receiving the life around us.
Yeah, totally.
Nature, the love that's already there, people already around us. So it can be just a process, like you said, this opening, and you're like, oh wow, I can receive the simple moment. I can receive the sun shining on my face. I can receive the feeling of water on my skin, right? Like, really allowing yourself to take it in and not just like being in the body and like not feeling it.
Going to the next thing. Yeah, okay, here's the water, but we are on the way to the chicken. Yeah. Or
yeah.
Okay. Is the audio bad, really? How about now?
I think I hear it a little. I think it's a little better.
Yeah? Okay, because sometimes when I have the holder, we should have asked at the beginning. Sometimes when I have the holder, I notice that part of the microphone is hidden, which is really dumb because the holder should accommodate for that. But
oh, I think it's better now, though.
Okay, great. After 20 minutes. Well,
my boyfriend hopped on and had told us that.
oh my God. You should have asked him at the beginning. Usually my assistant is on these lives, but she was like, well, I have some work to do. I'll connect later.
Okay.
Right. So could you do this opening journey in a 3 hours time? Because that's how long our event is going to be on the 18th of August in Prague.
Yeah.
So how do you, because there is loads to do, right? Like when I run courses, so the courses may be 8 weeks, they may be an hour each time, so it's at least 8 hours. Now we are doing an immersion of a 3-hour workshop, the two of us. So how do you picture the deep work is done in 3 hours so that the people can grasp the magnitude of it?
Yeah, I think for us, it's like doing what's most impactful, right? And I think we're a nice blend in our modalities, are a nice blend of like yin and yang. And for me, one of the things of opening is ceremonial cacao, because that's a heart opener and it gets you back into the body, and all the feel good chemicals really actually open up your heart, right? Like there's a bunch of like scientifically backed things around the chemicals and the neurotransmitters. So for me, that's one of my favorite things to use when I have a short amount of time with people, because instantly people start to just open up a little bit. And sometimes you open up and there's some uncomfortable things like sadness or whatever, but a lot of the times people also open up and they just start to feel more, right? And so the feeling, I think, is what carries people through after, right? There needs to be some sort of imprint, some feeling of like, I feel this, I feel open, like I'm excited, I'm connecting to people, right? I'm expanding in some way. So for me, cacao will definitely be part of our immersion to help us open up.
And it helps to anchor the receiving feeling, basically, and with that, the receiving energy.
Yeah. Exactly.
Beautiful.
It's part of nature, right? Even cacao, we call it more of a feminine energy. So indigenous people who use cacao and how we talk about it generally is about it being of feminine energy, of being Mother Nature. So when we can nourish that and receive that medicine, then we can also start to impact and feel that impact of the feminine, actually.
Right. So then we go unwrapping from what I see, because I'm clairvoyantly looking at the event, and I haven't fully made the syllabus of it yet, and it always kind of develops organically as I'm arriving closer to the event and there's more people signing up to it. So then I see we go actually using the way you do the shadow work to address the bits that the women don't accept in them. Is that what you picture that would be done in a 3 hours work?
I didn't picture that so much, to be honest. Like you, I haven't fully like put it together. I was hoping we would get that more sorted out this week, of like anchoring that down a bit more and fleshing it out. But I think for me, there's definitely some release that has to happen, right? We have to release some belief, some old feeling, some identity. You know, there has to be something that is released, because then we create space for the new, because we cannot create the new when we're holding on to all our baggage, you know, and we have like, there's no room, right? We can't pack the bag anymore because we have all this baggage. So I think
it's funny.
Is an important part, and I think for both of us, I think it's key part of our work of like clearing and releasing in some way.
Totally, all the time. It feels like I'm constantly opening a drawers, you know, taking out things, and for some reason, you know, how it works in regular life too, like things keep popping in. I have to reopen it every 2 months, you know. I'm going, whether it's my drawers right here. I have like a huge chest with drawers over here.
Exactly. I mean, because we're packing them with different things along the way, right? So I think for these kinds of things, we need to unpack a little bit, right? Because if we just focus on like the end goal or the manifestation, you know, there's something blocking us still, right? So what is in the way, or what's holding us back? So I think that's always an important thing to do. And even though it can be on like not the most favorite thing to do. It's the most impactful.
Right. Yeah. So I love that. So we'll go and release. We'll find what to release, and then we go reprogramming. So the way I had been looking into it, we'll go addressing the chakras that are responsible for prosperity, for receiving, for abundance, for love, which mainly is the first and the heart chakra. And then we go giving the people the vision of how they can enter and allow themselves into more of what they're into. And from my perspective, I like to make it for the people I work with tangible. I like them to see it, because what often happens, people don't like to be specific about their visions. They're afraid. They're like, wait a second, if I'm specific about how much money I want to make, isn't it asking too much? That cannot happen.
I know I have that sometimes still. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, because sometimes we don't want to disappoint ourselves, right? We're like, well, that thing is really big, right? And so if I aim for that, what if I don't make it, right?
Yeah, or it could be even like weight loss. I don't know how about you, but like every year or two, I have like 2-3 kilos to lose. And when I'm at like a kilo 2 down, I'm like, maybe this is good enough. Maybe I should ask for more.
Yeah. There's the fear to ask for more sometimes, right? I think especially some of us as women, we have a bit of that. We're like, I don't know. I feel like the men I know are less afraid to ask for those things and want more. I don't know. Yeah. It's interesting to unpack that, like allowing for more.
Yeah, so let's do that. Let's allow for more, and let's allow for a bigger vision. And then if you can even come to Prague for that on the 18th of August. It's a very special thing, because I don't do live events really often. So us joining together is a big thing for me.
Yay.
And when my assistant saw that, she's like, "You're doing a live event, really?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
It's good though. I'm excited, and especially I really feel like the people I collaborate the best with, we complement each other so well, and so I feel like that's an amazing thing to bring to a live event, when you can have two people complement each other and work together in that way. Because if it's just me, it's a little bit different. If it's just you, it's a little different, but together it's like the full package.
And it's going to be real magic, because it's things like you don't realize how the two energies can merge, right? And I can feel already that there is like healing for elevation for both of us in it too, right? So I don't know how about you, but that's why I like working with people, because it keeps elevating me through their topics as well, through their ways of functioning. So 18th of August is going to be 6 p.m. If you want the details, message me on Instagram, or if you're here with us live event, and we are going to give you the details, and we'll be advising about it more on the way. All right, Stephanie, is there anything else you want to add? I think we have covered this topic of what feminine energy is, why it's important, and how it brings us to receiving, and with that, prosperity, love.
Yeah, it's perfect. I think that's it for now. It's enough to digest for everybody, including ourselves.
Yes, perfect. Yeah, we are going to put this on my YouTube as well. So if you are on my email list, you're going to receive this so that you can easily kind of go through the timeline, because Instagram doesn't allow you to do that, as far as I'm aware. And if you are not on the email list, then message me, email, and we'll send it to you.
Yay. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much, Stephanie. I'm so excited you're circling back to Prague. You're bringing your feminine energy to us. And I can't wait for us to merge, to bathe in it, and to elevate each other and help some wonderful women to open up to the next level, love and prosperity.
Yes, absolutely. It's all it's gonna be a collective elevation for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Have a great rest of the day in Serbia. And let's talk soon. I'll see you in Prague.
We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.